the defendant out of my courtroom, please. Thank you.
And a round of applause for the judge after sentencing the theater shooter to 3,318 years, the absolute maximum sentence for mass murderer James Holmes. Today's sentence on top of the 12 life sentences without parole for the gunman who was sentenced for murdering those 12 people. So why does this added time matter? 7 News reporter Marshall Zelinger in court today. And Marshall, this matters to every person in that theater 3 years ago.
Teresa, today was really about the injured 70 victims from that day on July 20th. The life sentences were for the 12 killed victims. Outside the courtroom this afternoon, the survivors joined the victims' families, first responders, and prosecutors. And one of those prosecutors told me each injured survivor's case could have been its own trial, and they deserve a final judgment.
If you are Stephen Barton, you deserve to hear that for your injuries, the defendant was sentenced to the maximum term of years for this case. And if you're Kelly Bowen, you need to hear that. And if you're Michaela Hicks, you need to hear that. So every single person deserved individualized justice in this case.
We also found out that the prosecution is seeking nearly $800,000 in restitution from the shooter. The DA used a federal grant to help families pay to attend the trial. The grant paid for airfare, hotel, and $20 a day for food. It only covered 3 days for the preliminary hearing, 2 weeks for the trial, and 3 more days for sentencing. It turns out the grant can also help victims all the way through January. So starting tomorrow, the prosecutors are going to start calling the 1,200 survivors, victims, family members to see if they want to take part in any services that will still be paid for through the rest of this year and a little into next year. Reporting live in Arapahoe County, Marshall Zelinger, 7 News.
Great coverage, Marshall. Now here's a breakdown of what we've brought you since this tragedy in our community. We have covered 67 days in court over the past 3 years, 15 weeks of trial, and heard from more than 300 witnesses of the theater shooting. We have all that coverage from the day everything started, July 20th, 2012, right now for you on thedenverchannel.com.